All right. This is Grandfather. Now, you might wonder, some of you, especially those of you who've been following along with this work for some time. All these videos, hundreds, yes? Blog posts, hundreds there, over 1,000. Books, well over 30, 35, something like that. And more. What's it all about? Is this just for your entertainment? No. It's not for entertainment at all, though. At times you have been entertained. It's for your education, for your empowerment, and ultimately for your service. You come into life with the burden of responsibility of what your soul wants you to do. And it is really your soul living your life. When a life seems to go wrong, sometimes people in the past would say that was a bad seed, meaning the seed of your soul didn't take well, didn't produce well in the ground, really a term from farming. But nowadays, balance is what is achieved through an understanding of why your soul is here. And there are many words for soul. You might say why your light body is here, why your total being is here. It doesn't matter the word you use. You are not here by accident. There are no accidents. Many times there are things that happen that you wish did not happen, or more specifically, where you wish something better had happened. But there are no accidents. All happens with a purpose, though the purpose is not always clear, eh? Generally speaking, when things happen to you and you suffer, it does not mean you are being paid back for something. No. It means that, unfortunately, you weren't able to interpret messages correctly, or those who were around you to guide you and advise you didn't understand the messages from Spirit. I've tried to help you with that here and other places. But ultimately it is up to you. It's up to you to decide, are you here to serve, and what is it that you are serving? Those two questions are foremost. And I will say this, that service is something you all do, granted unconsciously much of the time, but it is something you all do. Sometimes it is more conscious. You serve the needs of others because you choose to. Sometimes it is less conscious. You serve the needs of others because it is easy and you don't even notice that what you are doing is somehow serving the needs of others. That's the way it normally works in a homogenized system that exists on Earth, where all life is connected. Try to remember that. All life is connected. There's no question about that. So, you could reasonably ask, well, Grandfather, why are so many terrible things happening? Why are so many awful things happening? Why is there so much suffering, and so on? And I will say this, it is not because Creator does not like you. It is not because Creator does not love you. It is because you are in transition. You are resolving, and mostly you've done that. problems that exist from other cultures in the distant past, some of which existed on this planet. Other times they existed on other planets, but the cultures on those other planets were unable to solve those problems. So you, as souls, or light, or other terms, beingness, volunteered from wherever you were planning to live in this vast universe, and said, I will go to Earth and be of service in the best way I am able. In your own languages, you said that at some point, and that's why you are here, because this planet is about transformation. Try to remember that as well. This planet is constantly about transformation. But in order to accomplish transformation, you must be able to have the imagination, that allows you to have hope, to believe, to hope, to desire, yes, that things can be made better. Oftentimes, this hope comes in the form of prayers, through one religion or another. But many times it comes through actions that are driving towards, or striving towards at least, some ideal in your own mind or in the minds of others. Be thinking about this. In order to have a benevolent society where your needs are served in the most benevolent way, it must be that way for others as well. So, the transformation that's going on now is simply remembering who you are. You had to forget that when you came here, so that you would have the opportunity to not have rigid beliefs, to not believe that this could be done and that couldn't be done. You see? On other planets where things were unresolvable for some reason, there was an absolute belief that that unresolvable thing couldn't be resolved. You could not be on this planet, in a life here, a planet about transformation, if you believed that something or anything couldn't be resolved. So, the simplest way to help you to believe that was to provide you with an imagination and to provide you with ignorance, meaning that the society you would be born into would not necessarily be an ignorant one, but more likely would be one that had forgotten who they were, meaning in the soul sense, in the light body sense, in your overall spirit, where cooperation and love is part of life so ingrained that it is a functional existence in the most benevolent way. So, you forgot who you were. And when you come here as babies, you don't arrive in ignorance. No. In order to survive as a baby, you need not only others to care for you, you need to remember who you are. All babies on this planet that have ever been born, that are being born now, and that will be born in the future, will remember who they are in their total being for the first 6 to 8 months of life, and only will begin forgetting as they adapt to the society and culture they are in. But that's why you see, isn't it, very often amazing looks in the eyes of your baby, or in babies that you happen to see here or there. Maybe mother, or even father, is carrying baby, and baby happens to glance at you, and you glance at baby, and there is this magical moment. Baby smiles and you smile, and you feel amazing. You feel wonderful. That is the energetic, meaning not necessarily conscious in your own mind, the energetic transference that happens between you and baby, where baby, remembering who they are, sees you for who you are in your overall spirit self. And that experience is felt by you as a moment, especially in that first few moments, of complete balance in yourself, and thus joy. You don't think that necessarily. You might think about it later, but you notice it as a full experience. So, just a reminder, you come here to transform. You come here to try to how can we say, you strive towards transforming anything and everything. Sometimes you get off on the wrong trail and are trying to transform something that you don't realize is benevolent, because perhaps you are inexperienced with that. Perhaps you are just trying to learn about life and are attempting to fit into something that you don't understand yet, and you don't have a complete picture, as you say, of the whole thing. Sometimes when you get that picture, you realize this is not the path you want to be on. Other times, when you get that big picture, you realize that you misunderstood things in the past. This is typical. Don't feel like you are the only one like that. Do understand that it's more important to walk the benevolent path, because most often you will be meeting people who are also souls, all right? And any other word you apply to that you have known elsewhere. And that means that 999 times, all right? Meaning almost 100%, all right? Beyond 999 out of 1,000. You have had a benevolent experience with this person someplace else, another planet, another time. Perhaps it's going on in another dimension. So try to be good and kind, another descriptive term for benevolent. If you can't be that way in that moment, then do the best you can. I recognize that these are things that many of you already know, but it's important to be reminded of these things. Also, understand that no matter who tells you what, that life will go on. And it doesn't just have to go on in some higher dimension. Life will go on, and it will be up to you to help it to become as benevolent as possible. And what does benevolent mean? Good and kind. And what does good mean? Does it just mean good in somebody's eyes who has a rigid idea of what life is supposed to be? No. You know because you have been in groups, perhaps, or you were good and kind to others, and they appreciated it, or they were good and kind to you, and you appreciated it, and very often you don't even know each other. Perhaps it was just a moment. Perhaps you were carrying some heavy load, and somebody helped you out for a moment. Very good chance they didn't even know you. Perhaps they did. And you appreciated that. That's good and kind. And it is not attached to the outcome. There are many things to know. Many of them are important and valuable. Try to remember that even though the culture you live in, the religion you believe in and care for and cherish, the politics you understand to be valuable. All these things are ways your mind copes with this strange new world you find yourself in after you come past that time of being a baby where you knew all and understood all. But there are moments, aren't there, where you remember who you are, perhaps after sleep a benevolent dream, perhaps a friendly baby in the market glances at you and a moment of recognition is felt. Perhaps life is not as awful as it often seems to be in those moments during hard times. Perhaps you can imagine things to be better with the gift of imagination. Perhaps even though you don't remember who you are most of the times, so that you can believe that things can be transformed, even the impossible. Perhaps in those moments, you also have flashes of remembering who you are. Regardless of those moments that you will have more often these days, you can be sure that you are waking up. Even if you feel awake, you will remember more and more of who you are and the adaptations you have made to life as you have had to live it in your society, in your world, in your existence. You won't have to unlearn. But as you remember who you are, many of those adaptations, which may be limiting, may be rigid, may be restrictive, won't be a struggle. They'll just fall away. Because when you remember who you are, you will remember who you are in your overall spirit. You will be able to do things very easily, very comfortably, and with great ease. And you are remembering now. You will remember more in 2013, and still more in 2014. And by 2015, you will be already being at least 25% of your overall spirit being as your day-to-day self. Don't confuse the difficult with your overall spirit being. Your overall spirit being is totally benevolent, and you will know because it feels good and kind to you, and good and kind to others. And that process will accelerate from 2015 on until someday, not long after that, you will be your total spirit being self as your physical day-to-day self on earth. Good life.